And on Asia Live today, we're talking about smog and also gay pride in just a moment. First, though, about a big summit, in fact, happening in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Let's talk to our correspondent in Singapore. It's Greg Somerville. Greg, first of all, just tell us a little bit more about this summit, can you?
Yes, well, the ASEAN summit's a big regional affairs involving member countries from Southeast Asia. And one of their current goals is to establish an ASEAN economic community based on the European model by 2015. Now, this meeting is bringing together foreign ministers from member states as well as from Russia and the US. They've discussed the situation in Syria, nuclear security, but there are also been sideline bilateral talks between John Kerry and his Russian counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, on the Snowden saga, but apparently without making much progress. Now, the other ongoing issue is the haze that affects Southeast Asia. The haze is the smoke caused by vast forest fires in Indonesia. Used to clear palm oil plantations. Now, Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia are all ASEAN members and all affected by the haze. And despite the diplomatic spat early on between Indonesia and Singapore, the channels of communication are open. And Indonesia has said it is committed to tackling this issue. For now, the haze in Singapore is much better, but it could return at any time.
Greg, let's talk as well about Singaporean society. This week we've had massive gay pride events, haven't we, around the world. But in Singapore, an event known as Pink Dot was held. Perhaps a much smaller affair than elsewhere, Greg?
Yes, that's right, sure. Pink Dot is in its fifth year and aims to promote the freedom to love in Singapore and raise awareness. And as you say, it is probably a much smaller affair than elsewhere in the world, but certainly a sign that times are changing here. As we'll see in this report.
For the past 15 years, Gary Lim and Kenneth Chi have been living together, but under Singaporean law, sex between men is considered a criminal act, which is why the couple has filed a constitutional challenge to have the relevant part of the Penal Code, Section 377A, removed from the Constitution.
Even though in Singapore it has become more and more tolerant towards gay people, however, we felt that with the law hanging above us, we are all still being deemed as criminals. And so that's the reason why we are trying to get 377A repealed.
The High Court recently rejected their constitutional challenge and the couple has filed for an appeal. In order to help pay their legal fees associated with the whole process, they launched an online call to raise funds. They raised €38,000 in just 18 hours and now have a total of €65,000, a sign that the so-called pink dollar does exist. And momentum here is growing. 21,000 people gathered in Singapore to celebrate the 5th edition of Pink Dot. The event has seen the number of participants grow steadily each year, and the aim of the event is to increase support for members of Singapore's lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender community, as well as raising awareness and promoting the freedom to love.
There is a growing acceptance. People are more open. People are coming out more easily now. Pink Dot has made being LGBT not so underground and not so taboo. Singapore is still a traditional country. The government, I think, need to open up a bit more, and I do believe they will.
While the authorities here are becoming more tolerant, gay rights activists say they will continue their struggle and are spurred on by recent breakthroughs on homosexual marriage, such as in the US and Europe.
I mean, there've been talk about getting married overseas, maybe in France, maybe in the future in UK, maybe in Canada. So definitely Singaporeans are going outside to get married, but nothing beats being recognized back home in Singapore in our legal system. There's just something so fundamental about marriage that we want. I mean, it means equality for us.
Gay culture is becoming increasingly visible in Singapore, and while members of the LGBT community now have more and more gay bars and clubs to choose from, it will probably be some time before they can enjoy the same freedom that is available in some other countries.
Yeah, and Greg, just tell us a little bit more about this section of the Singaporean constitution. It criminalises homosexuality, doesn't it? The one that was challenged by the gay couple we just saw in your report. Appears to be a bit of a relic of British colonial law.
Yes, that's right. Section 377A is in fact a legacy of British colonial rule, but is a law that still exists in a number of Commonwealth countries, including in Southeast Asia, such as Singapore, Malaysia and Brunei. This section of the law essentially criminalises sex between men, and the argument against it is that it is discriminatory and arbitrary. But what is clear is that attitudes here are changing. There's a new online gay men's magazine. There's a drag queen stand-up comedian. And there are more and more bars and so on, all of which would have been impossible just a few years ago. But ultimately, the situation now is a question of whether or not society is ready to take another step in having this law repealed. And for the moment, as far as the courts are concerned, that's a question for Parliament to answer. And as mentioned in the report, the couple has filed for an appeal. So it'll be interesting to follow the outcome of this next chapter.
All right, Greg, thank you very much. That's Greg Somerville, our correspondent there, joining us from Singapore. Thanks very much for being with us today. That was today's Asia Live. I'm going to be back in an hour, of course, here on France 24. Claire will be here for the next hour, though, of Live from Paris. Shortly, she'll be speaking to our correspondent Gallagher Fenwick in Cairo on the reaction to Mohamed Morsi's speech. And later on in her Hour in Focus, we'll be looking at resistance to the gas rush in Poland, where US energy giant Chevron has several concessions. All that coming up with Claire in the next hour here on France 24, so don't go away.